So the most viewed video on this channel is a commentary on a critique of Lily Orchard, so let's do another one. This time, I will be responding to Manufatura's video on Lily Orchard's video on Star vs. the Forces of Evil. Now, I have seen other videos by Manufatura before I even scripted this video, since she has made several videos on Lily Orchard. However, none of the others interested me, and this video is a good collection of the problems I have with her content overall. Oh, and before I start, I do not like Lily Orchard. I am making this video because the points are not good.
Somehow, Lily's opinion on anime has returned.
Star Versus is my favorite anime. Then again, anime literally means animation, so Family Guy is my favorite anime.
But so, let us begin the subject of this video, which is a video about Star vs. Forces of Evil. And I'm almost 100% sure that the reason she made this video is because Saber Spark made a video and it hit a lot of numbers and her views aren't doing that well. So she was like, might as well.
First of all, you don't actually prove that Lily's video came out after Saber Spark's video, so your audience doesn't have much of a reason to believe that Lily is doing what Saber does. So whoops. Second of all, and this is more important, this point is entirely based on assumption, since who's to say that Lily wasn't working on her video before Saber Spark? I know my point is in of itself based entirely on a guess, but it has about as much to stand on as your point, unless you can definitively prove that Lily copied Saber's homework, but I doubt that's gonna happen.
What is my involvement with Star vs. the Forces of Evil? I watched the first season, I dropped it on the second, it turns out I don't know, there was some kind of torture porn with the bird, and I don't know, I just dropped it. And that was pretty much it. I do know a few things that have happened. I have watched the Saber Spark video, I know that the ending was fucking insane, but the most insane part of all were the goddamn shipping wars. Those were legendary. So yeah, I'm not a big, knowledgeable Star vs. the Forces of Evil fan.
However, I do believe that Lily most of the time is wrong, not only about things that happen, about misinterpreting stories, but how storytelling works in general. So I'm pretty confident that I will be able to see many things that are wrong with this video.
See, I'll be keeping this here to set up Manufactura's motivations for going into the video. Needless to say, I'll be coming back to these throughout the video.
Fanbase is divided on what went wrong. Was it too much shipping? Did it bungle the racism allegories? Was the problem that they used allegories at all? Was the lore too convoluted? Were the villains unfun? Well, the answer to all those questions is yes. All the little problems with Star vs. come back to one major big problem. Was this guy.
Oh, come on, what, really? That guy? I don't even remember that guy, but I remember he was so cool, you know? Like, it's like, oh, we gotta get the wand, we gotta destroy the universe, we gotta do a lot of stuff. And then that guy was like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking crush this kid. I love him. How can you say that? How can you say that everything went wrong when he appeared? Honestly, that was a high point of the show. Like,
this is subjective. Okay, so you like toffee, and you know what? Good for you. But Lily Orchard obviously disagrees. What did you say the point of this video was again? To prove Lily wrong? You're doing such a great job at that so far. By the way, we are 3 minutes and 51 seconds in, and only now are we getting into Lily's video. This is clearly peak commentary content. You know, the type of content that is barely even content. Even then, Lily hasn't even explained why Toffee represents everything wrong with Star's downfall as a series. So this point is overall preemptive because you haven't even considered the reasoning yet, nor have you actually proved the central idea wrong.
Toffee was a character we knew jack shit about right up until his death, so he was a big mystery. A mystery we could solve in the very next episode. Hey mom, I met this lizard in a suit, do you know who that is? But instead, why don't we spend the next 2 seasons wondering about it?
because it's fun. Because it's fun to wonder about mystery characters. Yeah, I suppose you could just put every single plot twist in your story in the first page of your book, but you could also have a mysterious character and looks scary, and you could just have the mystery last a little while because it's fun. I had fun with Toffee. Toffee was a fun character.
Okay, but like, Lily obviously doesn't think that's fun, so yet again, this is subjective. Even then, what if Lily doesn't think that a mystery is best suited for Star as a series? It's almost as if Star vs. isn't a mystery series. But what really gets me is that Lily already explained why the mystery doesn't matter. Because Star could confront her mother about Toffee. Granted, maybe Lily is wrong about Star's mother knowing anything about Toffee, but if you really wanted to prove Lily wrong, you would debunk her claim about Star's mom.
Indeed, anime was a big inspiration for her, so I wouldn't be surprised if she wrote her story like One Piece, intending to have 1,000 episodes and take decades to get to the point, or like Pokemon, where you have 1,000 episodes and take decades to get to the point, but also people actually bothered to watch you.
Does Lily not know what an arc is? They serve essentially as sub-stories in a long-running series, so it cannot take decades to get to a point when the point itself is never really a constant, since every arc accomplishes something different. Also, nobody watches One Piece, hence why it's one of the most popular manga ever. I get this is hyperbole, but it's hyperbole with a point. It's probably not as popular as Pokemon, but most things are not that popular.
Watch you.
Yeah, those are some very nice words for a channel that is thinking, eh, Lily?
I'm not exactly sure why it matters that Lily's views to subs ratio is screwed up, since someone can still make valid points in spite of that, but okay, sure. At least that's what I think her channel is thinking is alluding to, since the point itself is just really vague.
You think you didn't notice that you changed the glass of water thumbnails because you noticed that no one else was watching your videos? Think you didn't notice that?
Or maybe she just wanted to change her thumbnails? Is this baseless assumption based on anything? Thumbnails are a good way of gaining a viewer's attention after all, so she just may have thought that the old thumbnails were not good enough and changed them because of that. Or is this just you assuming the worst in Lily? Point is, this shouldn't be an issue. Also, yeah, if no one else was watching her videos, that would be a problem, since it's almost like YouTube is her job or something.
That's a burn that you did not have the strength to deliver, honestly. And also, it's objectively wrong. One Piece is objectively the best-selling manga of all time, unless it has been surpassed by like Demon Slayer or something, but it ain't Pokemon.
I genuinely cannot tell if this is a joke or not, because as a joke, I simply think that's unfunny and poorly delivered, because the delivery did not change. But as a point, it makes no sense, because different people enjoy different things. So there is no objective best anime. Plus, I think this point might be conflicting best with most popular, due to the mention of Demon Slayer, which feels like a fallacy. I mean, you can like something that is popular. You could even get into something because it's popular, but you would not like something because it's popular. That's an appeal to popularity fallacy.
See, the problem with fantasy racism, and indeed sci-fi racism, is that it always looks like it's trying to make a point about our modern culture and the issues we have here, but either didn't have the stones to do it or didn't have the knowledge to do it, instead covering issues that white people think are over and done with.
Lily is the one person who would be genuinely scared by the white woman jump scare meme.
Furthermore, it characterizes these problems as something in the realm of far-off fantasy. It creates enough separation, especially when you have the humans looking like human beings and the monsters not, that the audience doesn't really have to think about it beyond, oh, it's a racism allegory, and then decidedly not have to go, wait, should I be thinking about that? It's something we could have done on Earth. We could have had one episode where Star fucks something up in the human realm and the police target Marco instead, and Star has to get a wake-up call to the fact that her blonde ass could put other less privileged people in danger. That's it, that's the whole story. Single episode, done.
I think that Lily understands what this cartoon was aiming to do. So let me try to explain this. The cartoon isn't trying to comment on real life racism. The cartoon is trying to comment on tropes, on storytelling. You see, the thing about the monsters is that they're not supposed to be metaphors for Mexicans. It's not the thing.
Minor nitpick, Lily said that monsters were supposed to be a metaphor for marginalized groups, not Mexicans in general.
The thing is that in most stories, we assume that the pretty princess with the blonde hair and the shiny disposition is a good person. Monsters are bad and ugly. Are an equivalent to oppressed people in real life. It's like saying that the monarchy in Star Wars The Force of Evil is a direct correspondence to the monarchy in England. And while the two have things in common because of human culture, because of the way that we have treated monarchies, it's not criticizing the monarchy of England. It's criticizing the traditional idea of monarchy, that we see monarchs as being good, kind, and not oppressive in stories.
Not necessarily, since Star Versus includes several monsters who were banished from Muni, Star's home dimension, essentially because of a conflict between humans and monsters, which could be viewed as a race war. Then, over the course of the series, we as an audience learn that several of the monsters are not really all that bad. Like, Ludo's henchman, the frog guy, is an example of this. No, I do not remember his name because I'm not a fan of the series in general. And even then, the only way you would be able to say that the race allegory isn't there is if you checked over interviews done with the show staff, where the cast says that there is no racism allegory. And even that rhetoric undermines the concept of how art can be interpreted in many different ways. Like, you can't say that Lily's own interpretation of the show is wrong unless she blatantly gets aspects of the show wrong. Also, this comparison sucks too, since the only comparison between Muni and England is monarchy, which doesn't really mean anything since there were monarchies all throughout history, to which England isn't even a monarchy anymore, but at that point I'm nitpicking.
They have the trope of the good king, of the one true heir to the throne, that Lion King exists, everything happened in that movie. It feels more like the show was a criticism of that, and saying that the show failed in bringing out racism that actually affects the audience. It's like saying that Beauty and the Beast, as a movie that portrays a monster as not being unredeemable and incapable of love, and having all the townspeople assume that the monster is big and evil in spite of the person that knows him saying that it isn't so, and fucking locking up the old guy, and they just going to kill that beast because beasts are ugly and undeserving of love. It's like taking that movie and saying that this message would be better if the beast was black and shot by a cop. That's not what the cartoon was going for.
Even though Beauty and the Beast is ultimately a love story that was trying to accomplish something radically different from Star Versus, since Star never really loved a monster, and shipping only became a focal point in later seasons that everybody hated, but okay, sure. Even then, the Beast wasn't originally a beast and was just cursed to be one, whereas the monsters in Star Versus are monsters. There's a massive difference between cursed characters and non-cursed characters, no? And that's ignoring how there's also a whole cast of characters who were also cursed.
With this stupid will they won't they plot, and the reason will they won't they is a stupid fucking plot line is because they won't is never the resolution.
They always do!
If you guys want to watch one of my tropes video, I actually think that they won't is one of my favorite tropes. I like when couples break up. I like when the romance just one of the characters is an asshole and is abusive, or maybe the characters just grew apart.
You know, I've already gone over how subjective points in this video are, so I won't drag that out again. Instead, I'm gonna point to all the context you cut to show how little effort actually went into debating this point.
And this is not just the story, the characters suffer from this as well. Like, this is why Starco became such a fucking tumor. Because instead of handling it in 2 seasons when the confession came out, they dragged it out for 2 more with false leads and red herrings until the very end. And there was no reason to do that. If Starco had gotten together when Marco went to Muni, we would have had 1.5 seasons of them going through the same stories just as a couple. That episode where they get locked in a photo booth could have instead been, shit, we haven't had our first kiss yet, this is awkward. And it would have gone from infuriating to adorable. But for some inexplicable reason, Nessie wanted to tease for as long as she possibly could with this stupid will they won't they plot, and the reason will they won't they is a stupid fucking plot line is because they won't is never the resolution.
They always do!
This is how romance arcs always seem to go. They reach the logical point where the couple should get together, but instead of getting them together at that point, they just let it hang there until the final or second final episode for absolutely no reason and no justification. Yes, shows do this all the time and have done it forever, but there's never been a justification for it. This is the part where I vaguely gesture to that one French show everyone begs me to talk about. This is partially why Lumity was so positively received, because it reached a point where the only place left to go was for Luce to ask Amity out, out, and guess what happened? She did! There was a whole episode dedicated to Hootie literally locking them in a fucking pit until they did, even though the episode was about Luce waffling around wanting it to be perfect and being told, does it really need to be? It's almost like a direct subversion of the trope. Oh, this needs to be perfect, so I need to wait for the right moment. Bitch, you thought, get in the love pit. By contrast, Starverses could not stop harping on about the whole Starco thing to the point that people got fucking pissed off and wanted Nessie to just get off her lazy fucking ass and move. It was pitifully obvious that Star and Marco were going to get together, and every attempt at distracting didn't fool anyone. It kind of felt like that thing every bad writer does, where once their obvious plot twist becomes clear to the viewer, they get cranky about it and hastily rewrite or try to misdirect. And this isn't even counting the fact that the crew was constantly doing this kind of baity asshole bullshit to other shippers who knew that they were never going to get what they wanted. And when a good show does this stuff, it's kind of cute. But when a bad show does it, it's just douchebag behavior. The question over the show is why? We're gonna drag out this simple royalty dispute for 3 seasons. Why? You're not gonna know what Toffee is about until 2 seasons after his debut. Why? Star and Marco won't get together until the penultimate episode. Why?
The only way you would be able to debunk Lily and prove her wrong is if you actually kept these reasons in mind.
You only have a limited amount of time on this earth. You might as well spend it happy instead of pissed off.
Surprised when I dropped Moon Girl despite my glowing first impression on the...
Same to you, Lily, same to you. Jesus, when was the last time that she talked about something that she genuinely enjoyed?
You mean 2 videos before where she gave her first impressions of Moon Girl and they were positive? Granted, she did say that she dropped Moon Girl, but it was still a positive video regardless.
Just sounds so pissed off, like, all the time. Why is she even pissed off at this? It's like a show that ended, like, I don't know, a few years ago. It can't hurt you anymore.
This is really arbitrary because she can still critique a show that ended a few years ago, since she clearly has a lot to say. Especially when common consensus is that Star suffered because of shipping, which Lily obviously goes over, but she had much more to say in her video, hence why it's over 20 minutes. She's adding something new to the show's discourse, which would be a reason to talk about it years later. But going off of your logic, you shouldn't have been talking about Mr. Enter's video on Pickle Rick, since Enter's video came out in 2020. Whoopsies!
People were surprised when I dropped Moon Girl despite my glowing first impression on the word of the executive producer that it might become serialized. Like, that's the thing. When you say we're gonna get serialized, I don't trust that you're going to do this well, and I don't even trust that you're competent.
That's your job! That's your job! Is she serious? Oh, I don't trust that you're gonna do that. Lily, that's your job. Your job is for you to watch this stuff, so we don't have to.
I mean, not necessarily. A reviewer watches and reviews whatever the heck they want. They kind of have to do that because it's hard to review something that gives you apathy or you feel indifferent towards. Since, for all she knows, the next season of Moon Girl may have given her nothing to talk about. She doesn't have to review the show, and this is honestly just putting an unfair standard on her. Now, I do think that Lily is being close-minded here, but I'm not gonna say that it's her job to review something that she doesn't want to.
You get paid, so you don't need to, I don't know, work in a grocery store.
It's not about money, it's about sending a message.
So you can sit your ass on the couch, watch a bunch of shows, tell us which ones are good, which ones are not, so we don't have to waste our time.
Or you could just go to another reviewer, but okay, sure. Especially when I don't want to waste my time on a bad show doesn't really mean anything when you obviously disagree with Lily's opinions. Not just in this video, but in several other videos. So honestly, this just comes off as entitled because you're expecting her to have enough investment in something that she may not want to look into. Like, later on in this video, Lily implies that she doesn't like Madoka Magica, and you say that it's a great anime.
Because the creative vision started and stopped at being serious and being vaguely like their favorite anime. And when that's all you want to be, it's all you're gonna be.
Oh, okay. If I'm gonna be just like Madoka, then I'm absolutely fine with that.
So why are you acting like you'd actually take Lily's reviews to heart?
That's what your job is for. That's why your channel is failing. I'm the one with the untrust and I need to trust you. And how am I going to trust you if you're not watching stuff?
You don't trust her in general. How can you show so much entitlement towards someone who you don't even like? Also, yes, she is still watching stuff, but clearly her channel is failing because she won't do full reviews of certain shows. Because you have access to an alternate dimension where Lily does do full reviews of these shows and is the most successful reviewer ever because of that. Clearly.
I don't even trust that you're competent. Bitch, watch the show and find out, and then tell us if you're competent. I am jealous of her. I really am. I am jealous that she essentially has a job that I wish I had, and she doesn't do it well, but she manages to do it to survive and talk about things that she like. I'm legitimately jealous. I'm not going to deny this.
Okay, but what was the point of this? Do I have to go back to the supposed intentions of the video again?
Serious men show up and then show becomes serious and that mean good.
Toffee wasn't when the show started getting dark. The show started getting dark when there was that episode in which a monster ends up getting the wand and everything, and we see that not all monsters are bad. And I don't know if that's the same episode as the one with the celebration, that it turns out that the royal family was a bunch of colonizers that stole the land from monsters. But I remember one of those being the point when the story went dark.
Okay, but dark and serious do not mean the same thing, since something can be serious without necessarily being dark. Sounds like someone needs to pay attention. I mean, later on, Lily does compare the show to Shadow the Hedgehog, but in that case, it's merely a comparison and hyperbole. Plus, that's an entirely different section of the video.
Awesome Huggy Wuggy. This is me, but like I don't want to use it.
I think it's good that cartoons can have a mature, introspective tone. And then I look at them, and then I look at Star, and then I look at them again and go, she's a fucking magical girl space princess who shoots narwhal lasers. I mean, if you don't get my point here, I don't know how to explain it to you. It's like trying to explain to someone why you shouldn't put cayenne pepper in cake icing.
Yeah, she's a fan of zero punctuation, isn't she? I'm not judging her for quoting the guy because I do that too, but at least when I do it, I make it clear that it's him. What exactly can you offer me to make me play your game? Well, you can cyberbully the Riddler. I beg your pardon?
Are you actually going to give any context to how she's copying zero punctuation? Like, any clips from zero punctuation to compare to Lily's words? Or was that just too hard? Because this, right here, is accusatory nothingness.
And also, I make sure that the thing that I'm copying actually makes sense in my context, because you need to understand that while Star is a very feminine, very magical, kind of character, she is so much that she crosses into parody.
Parody, as in works that are usually not supposed to be taken seriously.
You're not supposed to be taking her seriously.
So Lily is right and you're just being pedantic.
But this is also something that can be deconstructed. She is like that, and she is a dangerous person. That's why she was sent to Earth. Her whimsiness can cause problems. So White Star is a very exaggerated character. She lives in a very exaggerated world, and bad things are also exaggerated. You know, like literally doing the Clockwork Orange, I think, to teach you to have good manners. If you watched an episode and didn't feel that was incongruous to the tone because it wasn't, then you don't have the right to complain that the show manages to get dark, you know?
But exaggeration would mean that it's not necessarily serious. So you essentially just strengthened Lily's prior point about the show not needing to be serious. Also, a reference to A Clockwork Orange doesn't really mean anything, since The Simpsons episode Dog of Death also has a Clockwork Orange reference, and The Simpsons is still a comedy regardless. Am I misunderstanding something? Maybe I am, but this point is just such word salad, I feel like I'm gonna have a headache.
Really? Y'all like Toffee? The guy's fucking boring. You like him more than Ludo?
You know, if you like the bird more than the lizard, it's fine. It's fine. Whatever. I don't care. But the reason the lizard is so beloved is because it's a twist in the formula. You see, The thing about the bird is that it's repetitive, and the lizard really isn't. It's a plot twist because the show changed a little bit. It could be like, oh, it was fights all the time, and then the guy appeared and said, hey, I'm gonna crush your friend if you don't destroy your wand. That's why he was fun, because he did some things different, and we were like, whoa, what?
The problem isn't even that she doesn't like toffee. The problem is she can't imagine why people like toffee.
I mean, does she have to? She's going over why she doesn't like toffee. The only opinion that is relevant at the moment would be hers. Realistically, the only problems with complaints about toffee is if the complaints were warped in logic or based on misinformation. This is, once again, thrusting an arbitrary standard onto Lily for very little reason.
The problem was a show about a magical princess from another dimension who fights monsters with narwhal lasers trying to be mature in the first fucking place. There has never been a more excellent parallel to Shadow the Hedgehog.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Shadow the Hedgehog is fucking great! I can't believe this! I can't believe this!
So are we just going to ignore how the point of the comparison was something trying desperately hard to be taken seriously without any tact to back it up? Also, yet again, another point based on subjectivity that this proves nothing.
Yeah, baby, huggy wuggy.
Anime is a pretty wide medium with many irons and many fires, but the phrase anime inspired always narrows in a small niche.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why. That's because when these creators were young, they weren't in the internet in the way that we were today. I mean, people still used to watch DVDs and VHS. So the anime that they watched was the one that got imported from Japan, and those anime tended to be action anime. That's what they say when they say anime inspired.
Okay, but like, what does this prove? Lily's not really interested in the why. She's merely explaining what someone means by anime inspired. So overall, explaining it yourself proves Lily to be correct, since you are expanding on her points. This video was supposed to prove Lily wrong, right?
And Freddy Fazbear. Oink, oinky, oink, oink.
Because the creative vision started and stopped at being serious and being vaguely like their favorite anime. And when that's all you want to be, it's all you're gonna be.
Oh, okay. If I'm gonna be just like Madoka, then I'm absolutely fine with that. Don't you just love it when there is someone that is clearly untalented and just incapable of doing things, and they start criticizing things that are obviously good or at least well made with passion and competence?
Don't you just love it when someone condescends someone else because they have differing opinions? Legit, this video here just hurts my brain so much.
You're like, well, you're gonna be just like that thing. It's like people criticize Superman, you know, like they say, oh, because Superman's boring, don't write a character like Superman. I'm like, why not? Why wouldn't I write a character like Superman? A character that's worth billions, has lasted generations, and also is a worldwide cultural symbol.
Maybe because she's focused on quality instead of profit? I don't really have any final thoughts besides please try to see where Lily is wrong and focus on that, so I can just end the video here.